We are now getting our first look at never-before-seen evidence filed by Special Prosecutor Jack Smith in the 2020 election interference case against Donald Trump. This includes the personal notes of then Vice President Mike Pence, who wrote 5 pages detailing an Oval Office meeting where Trump was pressuring Pence to take action just 2 days before January 6th. Those notes allege that Trump told Pence things like, quote, "When there's fraud, the rules get changed," end quote. Quote, "You can be bold," end quote. And that Pence had, quote, "the right to do whatever you want to do," end quote. But the vice president rejected those plans and 2 days later oversaw the joint session of Congress to certify the election for Joe Biden, telling Trump that his plans in a phone call that morning. While Pence was on Capitol Hill to do this, Trump was at the Ellipse outside the White House, launching what the special counsel calls, quote, "an indirect threat," end quote, against his vice president during a speech to his supporters.
Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now. I'm not hearing good stories.
After Trump's speech ended, chaos took over Capitol Hill as Trump supporters stormed the building in what the special counsel called one last effort to delay the vote certification. Back at the White House, the special counsel says Trump watched everything unfold in the Oval Office dining room. And while there by himself, sent a tweet which helped to fuel the riots. It was read in almost real time by a rioter with a bullhorn. Watch.
Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. The U.S. demands the truth.
1 minute after that tweet was sent, Mike Pence, see him there, was evacuated to a secure location. When told that his vice president was in danger when he was sitting in the Oval Office dining room, Trump allegedly said back, quote, "So what?" All right, our panel is here to talk about all the latest. Zolan Kano-Youngs, CNN political analyst, White House reporter for the New York Times. Zach Cohen, CNN national security and justice reporter. Karen Finney, CNN political analyst, former spokesperson for Hillary Clinton's campaign. And Mike Dubke, former communications director for the Trump administration. Welcome to all of you. Zach, I want to start with you just on the reporting. This is a 165-page indictment. We knew some of the broad strokes of this going in because of what we learned from the January 6th committee. This obviously was the special counsel trying to distinguish here between private and official acts, as the Supreme Court demanded. What would you pull out for us as things that are going to be critical going forward?
Yeah, it's really remarkable how Jack Smith tries to make the case, right, that Trump was acting as an office seeker, not an office holder, and basically says that the core and fundamental parts of his original indictment still amount to crimes, and that includes the fake elector plot, which he says in this new charging document that Trump was personally briefed on and warned about, that it was outrageous and that it was crazy by people around him, and still moved forward with it anyway. And then, of course, Trump's interactions with people like Mike Pence, right? That's still a question as to whether or not that is covered by the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. Jack Smith makes the case that they were acting as running mates, not as president and vice president. So that's how he's trying to get around the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. And I think we've all kind of come to understand at this point how there is no love lost between Trump and Mike Pence. But this new evidence does really cast sort of Trump as dispassionate in his reaction when he's told that Mike Pence was being evacuated from the U.S. Capitol, and also his interactions with his family members. He, allegedly telling his family members that it doesn't matter if he wins or loses the election because
you have to fight like hell.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And so that sort of encapsulates kind of the whole tone of this charging document.
Yeah, Zolan Kano-Youngs, let's talk big picture here for a second, because obviously this is coming down, under 35 days to the election. You have, this morning we're learning that Liz Cheney is going to be out on the campaign trail with Kamala Harris in Wisconsin, the birthplace of the Republican Party. She obviously is someone who staked her entire political life on what unfolded on January 6th. What impact does this have on the campaign here at this late hour? Obviously, Trump's people are saying, and I'm sure Mike will want to weigh in on this, that the Justice Department shouldn't have done this. But I'm curious kind of how you think about this as you cover the campaign day in and day out.
Sure. I mean, look, the Harris campaign and the Biden campaign before it, when they would talk about democracy as a theme in this election, they would often point to January 6th. They would point to also the allies of the former president who were trying to revise the history and the record of what happened on January 6th. And you had Democrats really trying to remind voters of that day and what the former president did not do, the amount of time that he spent in the White House seeing that riot unfold, and his statements leading up to that riot that encouraged his supporters to storm the Capitol. Something like this, that's not just sort of a politician attacking another politician, but are findings in a legal document that are going to continue to be talked about, are only going to fuel some of the criticism against the former president. Just to your point as well, when you talk about some of the descriptions in here, particularly about the former president and what's described in terms of his reaction to hearing that his then vice president was in danger, that the Secret Service had to rush him off because some of the rioters outside were threatening him. I mean, the former president's reaction is described as saying, "So what?" Something like that is only going to be talked about in these limited weeks we have in the remainder of the election. And remember, it comes right after a VP debate where one of the real sort of memorable moments was Tim Walz also pressing Vance and asking him whether the former president had lost the election, and he had a non-answer.
Well, Casey, the Justice Department shouldn't have done this. You're absolutely right.
To be clear, I did not say that myself. I said the Trump campaign is upset about that.
I know. I'm repeating what you thought I would say, and I'm saying it. But here's why. And I'm coming at this at a little different tact. I think the optics of this are bad, but I think they're bad for democracy. Yes, we can talk about how they're bad for Donald Trump, but a lot of this is already baked in with Trump supporters. But what this can turn into, especially with Trump supporters, is them looking and going, okay, the fix is in. Here's the Biden-Harris administration one more time. They delayed bringing the case, and now we're at the final edge, and we've got a one-sided legal document with putting color on incidents we already knew happened, and it's one more thumb on the scale by the Biden-Harris administration. That's what's bad about this release.
In part, it's been delayed because of all the efforts on the part of the Trump legal team to delay the case.
The starting date is delayed.
That's fine, but part of why we're here now versus earlier, but part of why we're here now versus earlier this year is related to part of their legal strategy. Look, I think what it does do, there are plenty of people who haven't been following the details as closely. I think the way I look at it in terms of the debate, it was a very powerful moment. You're right. It's a reminder why Mike Pence was not the one on that stage. That's what it's a reminder of. It's a reminder, the danger of actually being the running mate to this president. There was a time in this country when you said it's not how if you win or lose, it's how you play the game, not you fight, as in you fight to the death, even if you've lost. So I do think for voters who are looking for a reason not to vote for Trump, this could be a final sort of push to say, okay, no, I can't do this again.
Zach, very briefly.
Yeah, it's really,
go ahead.
Really important to point out the decision to release this was made by the judge in this case, Judge Chutkan, not the Justice Department.
I'm just repeating what Casey's words.
Of course.
Put in my mouth.
And Trump is, directing his anger toward the Justice Department. But
are we going to see more before the election on this?
It's very possible. There could be more evidence that comes out of this in the next couple of days, so we'll have to wait and see.
All right. Zach Cohen, thank you very much for being with us this morning. I really appreciate your reporting.